Have you ever stopped to reflect on why, even with your unwavering faith, your financial difficulties seem endless? What if I told you that this could be an indication of your divine calling? Let Stacy share this experience with you firsthand. My name is Stacy Rogers, and what I am about to share transformed my life in an irrevocable way. It is the account of my near-death experience, a pivotal moment when Jesus revealed to me the true reason why the chosen ones face financial challenges. In the early hours of February 3, 2023, at 2:47 a.m., I experienced something that would change my life forever. I died for 9 minutes and 12 seconds during what was supposed to be a routine surgery. I waited almost 2 years to share this story. During this time, I spent hours in prayer, seeking clarity to convey every detail with the utmost fidelity. Even now, I still feel a tremor in the face of the depth of what has been revealed to me. Jesus was clear: time is running out. This message needs to reach your people, especially those who wonder why they face financial struggles, even while maintaining their faith. I was 42 years old when everything changed. At that time, I was working as a pediatric nurse at the Children's Hospital in Minneapolis. Since childhood, I believed in God, having been raised in a Christian home that taught me to trust Him in all situations. However, even with my unwavering faith, my tithes, and a life dedicated to spirituality, I faced years of financial difficulties. As the only single mother of 2 children, the pressure seemed never-ending. 3 years ago, my husband left us, leaving us with mounting debts and an avalanche of worries. I couldn't understand. Why was I always struggling? Despite my dedication to work, the difficulties seemed never-ending. That night in February, it all started with a sharp pain in my appendix. The situation worsened during my shift at the hospital, but like many nurses, I chose to ignore the signs. When I finally recognized that I needed help, it was already too late. My appendix had ruptured, releasing a severe infection that spread throughout my body. The last memory I have before being taken to anesthesia is my prayer: "Lord, please take care of my children." I never imagined that this simple prayer would lead me to the deepest experience of my life. What followed is something that escapes description in human words, but I feel I need to try to express it. At the moment my heart stopped, a strange sensation took over me. It felt as if I was, in fact, leaving my body. Curiously, it wasn't a frightening or painful experience. It was as if I was being gently pulled out of a puddle of water. I was present, but at the same time, I wasn't. I watched the doctors moving frantically, the monitors emitting incessant alarms. However, inside me, there was an absolute peace. It was then that the light appeared. But calling her just light doesn't do justice to what she truly was. She was a pulsating love, a genuine truth, more authentic than anything I have ever experienced. As I let myself be carried away by her, everything lit up. Every moment of my life, every decision, every experience, everything coexisted in perfect harmony. It was as if I were trapped in an eternal now. Then I heard my name. Stacy was pronounced with such love that it seemed to reconfigure the essence of my being. I turned around, even without having a physical body. And then I heard Jesus Christ. But it wasn't the Jesus we know from Sunday school paintings or movies. His presence was both overwhelming and deeply comforting. In your eyes, there was a wisdom that transcended even the universe itself. They looked at me with so much love that I felt deeply understood and accepted. Your hands, marked by scars, shone with an intense light. A light that, in a single moment, narrated the story of all redemption. "My daughter," he began, "I am here because you, like many of my chosen ones, have been wondering why, in the face of such persistent financial difficulties, others seem to prosper effortlessly." With these words, everything around us transformed. We were taken to a magical place where time and eternity intertwined, and spiritual truths became tangible. It was in this extraordinary setting that Jesus began to unveil mysteries about financial difficulties, revelations that would forever change my understanding of the subject. And gold, just like your life, will also transform. He watched me closely, pointing to scenes unfolding before us, Then, I explained to him why my chosen ones often face moments of financial difficulties. What he revealed next was truly profound, impactful, and transformative. Each truth intertwined with the others, forming a tapestry of wisdom that resonated within my being. Finally, I found the answers to the questions that had haunted me for years, and I know that this also torments many of you. The first scene that comes to my mind is like a strong wind. I saw, amidst numbers, fervent believers kneeling, with tears streaming down their faces, pleading with God for a financial miracle. They were devoted, loyal people, completely dedicated. And yet, the need persisted. Bills piled up, bank balances were almost zero, and hearts felt heavy, suffocated by the constant lack. "Pay close attention," Jesus said. "I will show you what really happens in the spiritual realm when my chosen ones face financial difficulties." Suddenly, I was overwhelmed by the vision of the physical and spiritual realms coexisting in the same moment. Above every believer facing their battles, a shield of light shone brightly. This light seemed like a barrier, blocking their blessings. However, Jesus clarified to me, "This shield, which many see as a financial limitation, is actually my protection. Many of my children yearn for prosperity, not realizing that early wealth could ruin their souls." He made a gesture with his hand, and in that moment, I glimpsed alternative futures. Destinies that would unfold if these believers received the financial abundance they prayed for so fervently. The scenes were of profound devastation. I witnessed the humble transforming before my eyes. The wealth that came to them suddenly brought with it an overwhelming pride. They abandoned prayer, set aside service to others, and completely distanced themselves from their true purposes. "Stacy," said Jesus, "some of my children curse precisely what protects them. They do not realize that I am keeping them from destruction." He revealed to me that wealth often becomes an invisible barrier between man and God. Faithful believers, before reaching the necessary spiritual maturity, began to receive financial advancements. As a result, their prayers became shorter, and their presence in church became sporadic. Little by little, their hearts began to harden. They started to trust more in their bank accounts than in divine providence. That is why I allow many of my chosen ones to face moments of financial difficulties. Thus Jesus explained, "It is not about punishment, but rather about protection and preparation." It was then that I came across something that made me sigh. Jesus unveiled the spiritual war that takes place in the invisible realm. I observed dark entities specifically attacking God's chosen ones, casting financial difficulties upon them. They were fully aware of who possessed the divine anointing, and therefore, they created obstacles to demotivate them. "The enemy knows who is destined to fulfill my greatest missions," Jesus stated. Many times, financial battles are an indication of a grand spiritual calling. Many of my children have yet to realize that their financial difficulties are, in fact, a confirmation of their true vocation. These struggles, although challenging, reveal a deep purpose that lies behind the adversities. He shared how difficulties have the power to dismantle false securities and lead us to a total dependence on God. Every unpaid bill, every financial crisis, actually became an opportunity for God to reveal His faithfulness. "Do you remember the Israelites in the desert?" Jesus asked. "I gave them manna daily, not annually. I could have provided provisions for an entire year," Jesus continued, "but I wanted them to learn to trust in me each day." Today, many of my children find themselves in the desert, experiencing that same lesson. In a moment of deep reflection, Jesus revealed something to me that made me kneel. He showed me how financial difficulties often act as a shield, protecting us from toxic relationships and destructive opportunities that could lead us away from our true divine purpose. "Pay attention," he said, while sharing a bit of his own journey. I realized that I had missed business opportunities simply because I didn't have the courage to invest, fearing I would lose money. At that moment, I felt a deep disappointment. However, it was then that Jesus revealed to me what could have happened if I had chosen that path. Those opportunities could have led me away from my true calling. What I perceived as God holding me was actually Him protecting me. "Daughter," he said, as he gently placed his hand on my shoulder, "your poverty is temporary, but your purpose is eternal. Then Jesus revealed to me that financial difficulties are like a refinery fire, purifying our character by burning away the impurities. I realized that these moments of scarcity have the power to expose our true motives, reveal hidden idols, and test our faithfulness. Many people raise their prayers in search of prosperity. Jesus, in his wisdom, explained that character must come before material abundance. He will not release riches that could corrupt the souls of his children. And it was then that he revealed something that deeply impacted me. I witnessed the extraordinary spiritual power of contentment, even in times of scarcity. I saw believers who, despite their poverty, maintained a contagious joy and an unwavering trust in God. These individuals accumulated an immeasurable spiritual wealth, far more valuable than any material fortune the world could offer. "Pay attention," Jesus said. He revealed to me images of believers who, although they had little in material terms, enjoyed immense spiritual wealth. Their prayers resonated with power, their faith was unwavering, and the impact they had was profound. "These are the true pioneers of prosperity," Jesus explained. "They discovered the art of finding contentment in all situations. This ability makes them unstoppable in my kingdom." Then Jesus revealed something to me that deeply touched my heart, making me cry with understanding. I realized how financial difficulties manifest from generation to generation. In a single moment, I saw entire lineages, including my own, unfolding before me. I looked closely at this reality. Jesus taught me that many of my chosen ones were appointed to break this generational cycle. Before me, I witnessed patterns of poverty and scarcity, financial images that perpetuated from generation to generation, like dark spiritual inheritances. However, amidst this reality, something beautiful emerged. God strategically places certain believers in key positions to break these cycles. "You are not fighting just for yourself," Jesus explained in a calm voice. "Your battle goes beyond yourself. It is for your children, your grandchildren, and for all the generations yet to come. Through your journey, I am establishing new standards of financial wisdom and spiritual integrity. This will bless your descendants." Then Jesus revealed something extraordinary to me. My financial difficulties were not a meaningless burden. In fact, they were breaking the chains that had imprisoned my family for generations. My grandfather's gambling addiction and my father's chronic debt have profoundly marked my story. However, with perseverance and faith, I have witnessed how my struggle is transforming the spiritual legacy I carry. It was then that Jesus revealed the reason why the enemy opposes my financial progress so fiercely. He understands that once these generational chains are broken, they can never be restored. So, Jesus revealed something to me that left me in a state of shock. I glimpsed a time of abundance and financial liberation. God's plan was not limited to just my life. He governed multiple lives simultaneously, like a true master chess player. With skill, he coordinated events and circumstances that were far beyond my understanding. "Many of my children cry out for immediate advancement," said Jesus, without realizing that the premature blessing could interfere with the greater purpose I have for them. He revealed to me the story of believers who, in search of financial progress, embarked on risky paths. Many resorted to abusive loans, got involved in dubious businesses, and took on dangerous moral commitments, all in the hope of achieving a stability that, in reality, might be beyond their reach. The results were devastating. What initially seemed to be the answer to their prayers turned into traps, ensnaring the encyclos in an even deeper cycle of financial slavery. My timing is perfect. In fact, Jesus, I am not only taking into account your immediate needs, I am also thinking about your ultimate destiny and the future of those around you. Then, he revealed something to me that made everything connect in a surprising way. I realized how financial difficulties actually protect us from our own immature desires. Victims who, in the midst of desperation for a blessing, could have made decisions that would compromise their divine assignments if they had the means to do so. "Stacy," said Jesus, "some of my children have not yet received the financial blessing they desire so much, for if they did, they would end up building their own kingdoms. And it's not just about my heart. I am patiently waiting until your hearts are completely surrendered." Then, Jesus revealed to me scenes from my own life, moments when I fervently cried out for a financial breakthrough. With surprising clarity, I realized that if I had received this blessing in the past, I would have set aside fundamental divine commitments for my spiritual growth. Your struggles are not a punishment, they have a purpose. Thus, Jesus taught us, these experiences serve as training to reach a level of authority and responsibility that requires true spiritual maturity to be managed properly. It was in this context that Jesus revealed to me an aspect of spiritual warfare that I had never understood before. He showed me how the enemy directs his financial attacks, especially against those who play important roles in the kingdom of God. Pay attention. Jesus unveiled scenes from the spiritual kingdom. Let us see ourselves raising strategic financial barriers for the faithful who were preparing to embrace transformative ministerial opportunities. These attacks were not mere coincidences. They were meticulously planned attempts to discourage and divert God's chosen ones from their path. But there is something that my children often fail to realize. Let me explain. These attacks are actually a confirmation of Jesus' calling. The enemy does not waste his resources fighting against those who do not pose a threat to his kingdom. He revealed to me that financial difficulties act as a divine filter. They have the power to reveal who truly loves God for his essence, and not just for what he can offer. Just as gold is tested to prove its purity, we too are tested, proving the authenticity of our faith. Before we continue, just one request. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot to keep going. Many claim to love Jesus, but in reality, that love seems to be more connected to my provision than to my presence. When we face financial difficulties, it is at that moment that the true essence of hearts is revealed. It was then that he showed me something that brought everything into crystal clear focus. Vico shows us how financial limitation can strengthen our dependence on God. Before we continue, just one request. Please subscribe to our channel. It really helps us keep going. We observed that, upon receiving improvements in their finances, some believers gradually stopped praying. They ceased to seek divine guidance and began to rely solely on their own wisdom and resources. This change reminds us of the importance of maintaining our spiritual connection, regardless of material circumstances. That is why, in his words, Jesus explained that often people hold back financial abundance. He said, "I prefer that my children depend on me than to see them being destroyed by self-sufficiency." And then, he shared a revelation that took my breath away. I realized a deep connection between financial difficulties and spiritual authority. Upon reflecting on the King in the spiritual realm, I understood that every financial challenge faced with faith was not merely an obstacle, but rather an opportunity to strengthen my spirituality and build true spiritual authority. Every battle fought in this field shaped me and made me stronger. My chosen ones tend to focus on what they lack, Jesus said. However, they do not realize the blessings they are receiving. Pay attention. He revealed to me the story of believers who, even while facing financial difficulties, kept their integrity intact. In the natural world, there seemed to be an intense struggle. However, in the spiritual realm, Vico was accumulating shining deposits of spiritual authority. Every bill paid in faith, every gesture of generosity, even in the face of scarcity, contributed to this invisible wealth. Every moment of happiness, even in the face of adversity, is contributing to the construction of something lasting. That's why I allow many of my chosen ones to face long periods of financial difficulties. Jesus explained that they are not just learning about money. In fact, they are discovering how to exercise spiritual authority without being corrupted by it. It was at that moment that Jesus revealed something that completely transformed my perspective on financial difficulties. He showed me how God uses financial limitations as a powerful tool to keep his chosen ones in tune with his divine purpose. "Observe what happens when I release abundance before the time," Jesus said. "What I witnessed broke my heart. Victors who, upon receiving financial advances, immediately distanced themselves from their designated territories. Some have abandoned their ministerial missions, while others have allowed themselves to be trapped by the relentless pursuit of wealth, completely losing sight of their divine commitments. Once, Jesus explained to me that what many see as financial slavery is, in fact, his way of preparing my children to fulfill their true purpose. He revealed to me how financial difficulties can transform into a unique platform, capable of generating a powerful testimony. Victors who, after years of facing scarcity and trials, have gained a level of spiritual authority to teach about faith and provision that no theological training could provide. Your struggles go beyond your own experiences. They resonate with the message of Jesus. They represent the thousands who will find encouragement and learning through your testimony of overcoming. It was then that Jesus revealed to me a surprising truth about spiritual maturity. He showed me how financial difficulties can act as a true incubator for spiritual growth. In this environment, deep spiritual roots have the opportunity to develop. Jesus commented that many of his children are seeking financial advancements. However, they do not realize that the difficulties they are currently facing are, in fact, preparing the ground for the spiritual depth they will need in their future missions. The Vicrentes, while facing their financial battles, were cultivating levels of faith, perseverance, and spiritual authority that they could never achieve amidst comfort and abundance. This was the reason why Jesus often mentioned the delay in financial progress. I am not denying my children. On the contrary, I am dedicating my time and effort to their spiritual development. Recently, Jesus revealed something to me that deeply touched my heart and made me cry with gratitude. He showed me how financial difficulties can often act as a protective barrier. I realized how these limitations keep people away from relationships, opportunities, and paths that could ruin their divine destinies. Look closely. He told me this while showing me a glimpse of my own life. I saw the business opportunities I let slip away and the relationships that fell apart due to my financial struggles. Dreams that were left behind, simply because I didn't have the necessary resources. But then, Jesus revealed to me a new perspective. Each of those opportunities I let slip away would actually have taken me away from my true calling. What you saw as a limitation, Jesus said, was actually my protection. I was about to be swayed by the temptation of quick prosperity. It was then that something profound was revealed to me about spiritual warfare, offering a new perspective on the financial battles we face. I realized how the enemy attacks the finances of believers, as this is one of the most effective ways to divert them from their true divine purpose. Jesus explained that the enemy is fully aware that if he can keep my children focused solely on survival, they will have little energy to dedicate themselves to the tasks of the kingdom. However, pay attention to what happens when my children learn to thrive spiritually, even in the face of scarcity. He introduced me to people of faith who radiated joy, peace, and a deep spiritual focus. Even in the face of intense financial pressures, these individuals possessed such impressive spiritual authority that it made demons tremble in fear. That is why I allow some of my chosen ones to face long financial tests, said Jesus. They are learning to be spiritually effective, regardless of the circumstances surrounding them. Then, Jesus shared a profound revelation about divine timing, which brought surprising clarity. He taught me that God's timing for financial progress is closely connected to our spiritual maturity and the fulfillment of divine purpose. Many of my children are still not prepared for the impact that financial abundance can bring. Jesus explained, I am protecting those who are not ready for this premature exposure. Thus, I have witnessed believers who received financial blessings exactly at the right moment when they were ready to handle them, when their hearts fully surrendered to God's purpose, when their character strengthened and their spiritual foundation became unshakable. It was at that moment that true transformation began. That's why many times financial release can take a while, Jesus explained. I am waiting for my children to reach a level of spiritual maturity that prepares them to handle both the blessings and the responsibilities that come with abundance. As my time in this sacred kingdom unfolded, Jesus led me to a deeper understanding of the truths surrounding the financial difficulties faced by his chosen ones. Come, Jesus said, gently holding my hand. You have important revelations to bring back. Then he showed me how God uses financial limitations to teach true contentment, a lesson that Paul described in Philippians 4:12 and 13. I witnessed believers who discovered their true joy in Christ, regardless of the circumstances around them. They were people who could, with open hearts, affirm that they were content, both in times of abundance and in moments of need. In his world, Jesus made this explanation clear. People often seek happiness through acquisition. More money, more possessions, more status. However, I have observed something different in my children, who are learning to find contentment only in me. Before my eyes, I witnessed individuals emanating a supernatural peace, even when their bank accounts were empty. Their joy was not tied to external circumstances. It sprang from a deep connection with Christ, a relationship that went far beyond their financial conditions. These women discovered a secret, as Jesus himself said. By finding contentment in me, they discovered true freedom, a freedom that no amount of money could acquire. So, Jesus shared a profound revelation about the misalignment with his timing, shedding light on my own struggles. He said, "Many of my children are unable to achieve financial breakthroughs because they are still not in tune with my divine calendar." Vicrentes was frantically opening doors, in a desperate search for connections, forcing circumstances in the hope of creating financial opportunities. However, while he was striving, God was orchestrating something much more beautiful, something that required patience and trust. Ecclesiastes 3:11 teaches us that God makes everything beautiful in its time. Jesus reminded me that some of my children are facing financial difficulties, not because I have abandoned them, but because they are trying to rush my perfect timing. He revealed to me how God often works behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, people, and opportunities that come together at exactly the right moment, not a second before, not a second after. The wait should not be seen as a punishment, Jesus emphasized. In fact, it is a moment of preparation for a blessing that will arrive at the right time. Then, he led me to another fundamental truth. Financial difficulties often expose the way we manage the resources that God has entrusted to us. Some of my children, he said, are facing difficulties because they have not learned to manage properly what I have already given them. They are people who, in the past, received financial blessings but ended up wasting them. Impulsive spending, lack of planning, and absence of generosity have led us to financial difficulties. However, we find profound wisdom in the words of Jesus in Luke 16:10. "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." This lesson reminds us of the importance of being responsible with what we have, as the way we handle small things can reflect our ability to manage larger challenges. Some of my children are going through financial difficulties because I am teaching them to manage small amounts before entrusting them with greater abundance. Just as God uses these phases of scarcity, I also seek to help you redefine your financial habits, change your consumption patterns, and develop the essential wisdom to handle the blessings that will come in the future. So, Jesus revealed something that completely transformed my understanding. He showed me believers whose calling led them to face periods of material poverty. "Pay attention," he instructed me. I saw men and women dedicated to ministries, missions, and community work, engaged in tasks that did not offer immediate financial return. These chosen ones often wonder why they struggle while following my will. Jesus explained. They do not realize that their purpose requires this temporary period of limitations. It is not a punishment, but rather a preparation for something much greater. I observed how these periods of financial restriction were driving those believers to cultivate an unwavering faith, along with extraordinary creativity and resilience. These qualities, which emerged amidst difficulties, would become essential for their missions in the kingdom. The poverty they face is not something permanent, Jesus assured me. It is an intentional preparation for a calling that requires deep spiritual maturity, a maturity that can only be shaped in the heat of trials. Next, he revealed to me an essential truth about financial difficulties. They act as a crucible, an instrument of spiritual refinement. First of all, Pedro teaches us that trials have the power to refine faith, making it more valuable than gold itself, as Jesus revealed to us. Financial difficulties, for example, often act as a fire that purifies and strengthens this faith. Before me, I witnessed a believer facing financial hardships with admirable grace and confidence. In the spiritual realm, I was able to perceive an invisible yet profound impact. Each financial challenge acted as a purifying fire, burning away impurities such as pride, excessive self-confidence, materialism, and worldly ambition. What remained was a purified faith of inestimable value. Jesus emphasized that this process of refinement was not a punishment, but rather a preparation for an eternal weight of glory. It was something far grander than any temporary financial blessing I could offer. As our time together was coming to an end, Jesus gently placed his hands on my shoulders. "Stacy," he said in a serene voice, "you need to go back and share these truths." I felt a wave of emotion as I heard his words, while tears began to stream down my spiritual face. "My children are suffering unnecessarily," he continued, "because they do not understand the purpose behind their financial difficulties." "Lord," I whispered, "will I be able to remember everything with the necessary clarity?" Jesus smiled at me. "I will be here to help you remember every detail at the exact moment you need it. Tell my people that their financial difficulties are not a punishment, but rather a form of protection, preparation, and purification for purposes much greater than they can imagine." With these words, a powerful sensation enveloped me, as if I were being pulled back into my physical body. The last message that echoed in my ears before my return was the voice of Jesus, who said, "Tell them I have not forgotten them. Tell them that the discovery is on its way." Exactly at the right moment. When I woke up in the recovery room, the nurses seemed stunned. According to the medical records, I had been clinically dead for 9 minutes and 12 seconds. The doctors were impressed with my recovery, considering it a true miracle, especially since there were no signs of brain damage, something they had feared. However, I knew that it was not just an extraordinary medical feat. I had received a divine mission to share the truth about why God's chosen often face financial difficulties. This testimony does not minimize the genuine pain of financial struggles. On the contrary, he seeks to give this pain a divine meaning. If you are going through financial challenges, even while maintaining your faithfulness, it is important for you to know this. God has never forgotten you. He is working on your life, preparing it with care, and protecting it with love. In this process, he is also purifying your heart and soul, all for a purpose that goes beyond fleeting riches. Your great discovery is on its way. It will not be in your time, but in his time. And when it finally arrives, you will understand why all the waiting was so important. Until that moment, seek your contentment in Christ. Learn to wisely manage what you already have. Trust in his timing, and remember, your struggles are shaping eternal treasures. Those treasures that thieves cannot steal and that rust cannot corrode. May this testimony bring you the same peace and understanding that it brought to me. My financial situation did not magically transform overnight. My perspective changed forever. Now I no longer see my struggles as a punishment, but rather as preparation for a divine purpose that will be revealed at God's perfect timing. Wow, what an incredible story. The experiences we go through allow us to see financial difficulties in a completely new light. What we often consider a barrier can actually be a divine care, preparing us for something much greater that is yet to come. The Bible teaches us in Philippians 4 verses 12 and 13 that it is possible to find contentment in all circumstances. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. I sincerely thank you for sharing something so deep and personal with us. And to you who have followed us this far, may God strengthen you and guide your steps. We will meet again in the next video.